Hello and welcome. What we learned in our last video was that though a man may say he hath faith and have not works, or more literally, though a man keeps on saying that he has faith but keeps on not having works, that in the absence of obedience to God's commands, the faith which he professes is worthless in that it cannot save. Now, James continues to drive this point home with what follows. Beginning in verse 15, he says, "If a brother or sister is without clothing, and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, Go in peace, be warmed, and be filled, and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself." Now, through this illustration, the Holy Spirit is telling us that as it is with those who bless only with words and not with deeds, who say to a brother or sister who may be naked or destitute of daily food, "Depart ye in peace, be warmed and be filled," but yet do not give them the things needful for the body, as these words have no profit without deeds, so it is with faith when it is alone. It is dead. As James White correctly observes, by now we ought to be able to conclude that the contrast in this passage is not between faith and works, but between dead faith and living faith. That's taken from The God Who Justifies, page 339. Then in verses 18 through 20, James goes on to say, "Yea, a man may say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?" To emphasize his thesis that faith by itself is dead and that works demonstrate faith, James brings up an objection, no doubt one that he himself had heard from those who were teaching the doctrine of Sola Fide, that a man can be saved by his faith alone. The prophet is willing to let the argument be heard because his position is secure. It will enable him to show more thoroughly that there is no salvic value in faith alone, in faith by itself, in faith which does not work, which does not obey God. Now, all sides seem to agree that James 2 and verse 18 is difficult because there is an uncertainty as to how to punctuate the verse. The argument, however, seems to be that someone has come forth with the objection that one's piety or devotion to God are not always shown in the same fashion. One person may show his loyalty to God by faith alone, without works, while another shows his loyalty by works of faith. Now, here's the point of the objector. In either case, faith exists. Now, in response to this, James answers with a challenge of his own. He says, "Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works." James knows that he has asked the opponent to do an impossible thing, an impossible task. For faith cannot be shown to exist apart from works that it produces. So the objection that one's piety may be shown by faith alone without works is invalid. For faith cannot be shown at all without works. James does not deny that it may exist, but he does deny that it has any salvic value. But the objector is not finished. He argues that the faith that he has is in the one true God, and that it's an orthodox faith, to which James replies, "Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble." Though a man, and listen carefully, though a man is orthodox in his theology, well, so are the demons. That's James's point. And furthermore, they tremble with fear as they contemplate the terrible destiny that awaits them. Demons have faith, but it is faith without obedience. It is faith alone. Sola fide is what they have. They believe in the one true God, but they do not obey him. But this is precisely, dear friends, the kind of faith that the objector that James is speaking to has. He subscribes to the doctrine of salvation by faith only, that a man can be saved by believing without works, without doing what God has said. To this man, and to those who today subscribe to this false teaching, James asks, "But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?" Faith without works, my friends, is faith alone. And such faith is dead, and hence it is barren. The kind of theology that James is combating here, that faith without works saves, is the same theology today that is taught by Calvinism and by others who teach that faith alone saves. But how does James describe the individual who may subscribe to this doctrine? He calls him a vain or a foolish man. He is without understanding or without insight. Now, from this point on, James now turns to scriptural proof that men have never been justified by faith alone. And in our next lesson, we'll begin to look at his argument from the scriptures, specifically the case of Abraham. Thank you for listening, and I continue to appreciate your comments, and rest assured that once I finish this series, I'll answer some of them, and perhaps some of them will be answered in the lessons that I present. I bid you Godspeed. Until next time. Bye for now.